Your body is gone, but you have endured. Safe in the sixth universe created by your own might, your throne world. From this day forward, Aurix, you and your sisters will each survive death, so long as you aren't killed in your own throne. Even as your sisters press the attack against the Ammonites, the God Wave devastates Fundament. Trillions will die, but the survivors will never forget, and their descendants will always be ready for another CCG. When you return to the material universe, use this lesson to complete your work. Theox wasn't on the dry moon. She must be laughing at you. Verse 2:8. Leviathan rises. The Leviathan has broken cover. The old priest is in open space, moving towards the Ammonite home moon. Former Admiral Rafrid and his elite guard move with it. Rafrid is the hero of his generation, an Ammonite of peerless battlecraft. He's danced circles around Xivu Arath, but now he has to protect his holy Leviathan. We'll give the old lunk a word. Ruin. Grief and ruin. The Krill lost, the Ammonite ravaged, our travelers' work undone. Sisters of Aurash, open your eyes. Who made you monsters? Who summoned the wave? Make peace. Join with me in golden renewal. In counter-argument, Aurix, we ask you this. What has the Leviathan done for your people? Who gave you immortality and led you out of your prison? Who answers your questions about the universe with truth instead of sermons? Find détente with Savathun. Crush the Cormac Admiral. Boil the Ammonite seas and slaughter the Leviathan with witchcraft. Once the way is open, we'll show you how to eat the traveler. Verse 2:9, sorry. It's done. Air and Yule feed on the Leviathan's carcass. Xivu Arath has made a temple of the Chroma Admiral's impaled corpse. Below us, Savathun's poison stained the Ammonite home sea black. Their screams flavor the void. The traveler has fled. Do you understand, Aurix? Do you thrill at the secret, Savathun? Do you relish the edge of this truth, Xivu Arath? Do you see the beautiful shape? The Ammonite occupied a piece of reality. They rented their existence on fraudulent terms, making themselves happy and fat, fencing themselves in soft lies and sweet apocrypha, saying, we are peaceful and good, we harm nothing. Their golden age was a cancer. They did nothing to advance the cause of life. They burnt up time and matter and thought on this solipsistic, onanistic pursuit of safety, insulating themselves from death, making a regressive pocket of useless stability, when they could have helped whittle the universe towards its final perfect form. And your people, suffering in the deep, you became more worthy of existence than the Ammonite. You have proven it. Look around the sky. Behold the great divide, the battle lines of the cosmic war. We are the worm your god, but we are not the deep itself. We only move within it. You shall too. You shall venerate and study it and haunt it in its passage. Will you lift your thoughts to the millennia, Aurix? Will you bend your will to the liberation of the universe and join us in war against the sky? We need champions, crusaders. Help us save the universe. Help us exterminate that which would destroy all hope. You are oath-bound to this task, by the covenant of the worm. And you are oath-bound to kill Teox, wherever she's hidden herself. Oh, hi, Kate! We're doing a bit of a lore reading on Destiny. We're learning about the Hive and their past. How are you doing? Now we have verse 3, Hive. Let us speak of the terrible beauty of becoming ourselves. In the beginning we rode hollow moons from star to star. Aurex said, become as numerous and fertile as seeds in rich flesh, and thus we did become numerous. Xivu Arath said, we become as hungry as defiant as tumors in rich flesh, and thus we became cancerous. Savathun said, drink of the poisons of the worm, so that you might feed on death, and we did feed. This was preparation for our crusade. Aya, we were thus becoming. A mother wizard gets fertility from a mate, or from herself. From the wizard the spawn, from the spawn our thrall, from the survivors our acolytes who contend. If they contend well, their worm is fed, and from the well-fed worm come knights and wizards and princes. This is us, and our purpose is liberation. Our great task is the worship and admiration of freedom. Our great hunger is to pursue and eat that which is not free, and to liberate it with devouring Ayat. This is us, we the Hive. Verse 3:1, an incision. Saith Aurex, my siblings, our children are scattered across many moons, and we live in the cold dark between suns. What will we eat? How will we speak? Savathun said, Aurex, my brother and king, I have studied the wounds cut by the worm our god. Also, I have studied the manner of your death and return. These two things are the same, for they are predicated upon death and the passage through cut spaces. Let us practice the sword logic until we are sharp. We may then cut our own wounds and step through. But Xivu Arath said, Sister, I am already sharp. Look, my sword cuts into another space. And she cut her way between moons through green fire and joyous screams. 3 kingdoms grew swollen in the sword space. They were the gaze and glory of Aurex, the cunning and knowledge of Savathun, the triumph and brawn of Xivu Arath. These kingdoms were created from the minds and worms of our lords. They were coterminous with all spaces consecrated by our Hive. Through these spaces passed speech and food, and all the moons were bound close. Saith Aurex, this is where I went when I died. Let us establish our thrones here, for I am Aurex, the first navigator, and I shall chart death. My throne shall be carved of osmium. Verse 3:2, the High War. Now, in this time of diaspora, there was a war between Aurex and Savathun and Xivu Arath. Brother Aurex, said Savathun, do not forgive my betrayal. Instead, take vengeance upon me for what I did at the Dry Moon. And Aurex made war on her, in worship of the deep. Between them stood Xivu Arath, saying, Stop, or I will kill you. War is mine, and I am strongest. This was how they worshipped. For 20,000 years they fought across the moons, and they fought in the abyssal plains and lightning palaces of each other's sword spaces. And they killed each other again and again so that they could practice death. Such was their love. At last, the many moons came to many worlds, and it was time to go to war on life. Aurex said, I shall establish a court, and whoever comes into this court may challenge me. My court will be the High War. It will be a killing ground and a school of the soul logic. We have learned from our gods. Savathun thought this was a great idea. She made a court called the High Coven. Xivu Arath said, the world is my court, wherever there is war. Talk about tough love, am I right? Verse 3:3. Fire without fuel. I killed my sister today. She came to this star to oversee the extermination of all life here. The Kugu are a strong power, and their fleets protect 4 nearby stars. As herd animals, they are loyal and stubborn, but they do show grace. For millions of years of evolution, the Kugu have been infected by a virus so insidious that it wrote itself into their genome. The virus compels them to offer their limbs for amputation by enormous sessile jaw beasts. They venerate these beasts and treat them as gods. The virus converts Kugu cells into eggs, from which strange crawling things pupate to live within the jaw beast gut. In turn, the jaw beast extrudes sweet nectar for the Kugu to drink, and they have brilliant visions. Savathun and her broods have liberated the Kugu from jaw beasts, and indeed from existence. But as they chased the Kugu arc ships, I stopped in to vaporize my sister's warship and a few of her underlings. I want to dwell on the ruins for a while, and punish Savathun for failing to guard her flank. They are like us, these Kugu, bound in symbiosis. I feel joy and sorrow. I feel them as titanic things because I am larger than my body. My mind is now a cosmos of its own. I know more joy and more anguish than the entire Kugu race could ever experience. Sorrow, because we have killed so much. 18 species in this century alone. And joy for the same reason. Joy that we have put down these blights, scoured them away and left the universe clean, ready to move towards its final shape. We are a wind of progress, ripping parasites from the material world. For if they were not parasites, we would be unable to kill them, and they would still exist. And what is that final shape? It is a fire without fuel, burning forever, killing death, asking a question that is its own answer entirely itself. That is what we must become. My worm grows fat and hungry. I feed it with whole worlds. My astronomers tell me they can sense the deep itself and that we are conquering our way towards it. I think joy and sorrow will be the same thing soon, like love and death. Verse 3-4. The Scream. Savathun, Xivu Arath, my siblings, we are betrayed. We will never leave Eternal. Our might shatters entire species. We inhale the smoke of their burning. This is our compact with the worm our god. The worm makes us mighty. But as we wield this might, our worm's hunger expands. If we fail to feed it, it will devour us from within. We have exterminated 306 worlds, and now I am certain. My worm's hunger grows faster than the might I draw from it. We are bound by our covenant to obey our nature, eternal search, eternal cunning, eternal conquest. But as we do this, my siblings, we feed our worms. And the more we feed them, the hungrier they grow, faster and faster. Soon, my siblings, we will be so mighty, and our worms so hungry, that not with all our might could we possibly feed them, and we will be devoured. What can we do? Verse 3:5. Dictata ir Dakawa. Attention. Perimeter security units attend. Stand by to assimilate new imperatives. Glen 60 proof assimilation liquor or face immediate non-compliance taxation. The Dakawa Ministry of War is now online and true. In radial year 989 Groove 3, our clients in the Dakawa nest salvage an interstellar spacecraft. Hull isotopes date the craft's construction 24,000 years ago. Around the same time, the fundament system dropped out of contact with our amiable ecumene. Semantic Spike A, Praga. Mercenary explorers, disposable class, discovered an organism frozen in stasis deep within the hull. She claims to be Theox, member of a proto-hive species. During debriefing, she provided records of the fall of Ammonite civilization and vital intelligence about the motives, biology, and leadership of the hive. There we go, we found Theox. Over the past century, perimeter security units of the Ecumene Status Army have failed to halt hive incursion on 17 separate worlds. All species in the Ecumene face extinction. Decapitate, defer, promote Dakua's strategic dicta for victory against the hive. Identify supreme hive leadership organisms, Aurash, Sathona, and Zero. Target these entities with maximum theater overkill. Kilometric release authorized. Prosecute targets whenever they manifest. Hive cohesion will crumble. Total victory over the hive will be achieved by clean sweep genocide. So here we see the Dakoa trying to, I guess, form some kind of defense against the hive, which, I mean, we haven't really heard of the Dakoa, in recent times, so I don't think it worked out too well for them. Verse 3:6. Star by star by star. Beneath a green spire sky, in the throne world of King Aurix, our lord's embrace. We, the hive, watch as Savathun puts her arm around Zivu Arath, and Zivu Arath clasps forearms with Aurix, and Aurix takes Savathun by the shoulder. They are huge, and they burn with furious power. But this embraces weakness, and we despise it. Never before have we despised our lords. Have they failed us? We, the hive, have been driven back, world by world. I am at my end, Savathun says. I plot and plan, but I cannot gather enough bloodshed to feed my worm. And the harder I try, the hungrier it becomes. I slaughter and kill, Zivora says, but the harder I fight, the more my worm demands. I too am at my end. The Ecumene war angels have killed me so many times, Aurix says. that I dare not go out into the universe, lest I need my might to protect myself. My worm chews at my soul in hunger. Is this the end of our crusade? Are we the hive unworthy to exist? Xivu Arath puts down her great head. We should retire and gather our strength. Savathun closes her eyes in puzzled defeat. We should beg the worm our god to tell us what to do. But King Aurex, who knows best the beauty of the final shape, roars at them. Have you learned nothing? Would you deny our purpose? Whatever we will do by killing, by an act of war and might. That is the final arbiter we serve, that violent arbiter, and if we turn away from it, we deserve to be eaten. No, we must obey our natures. We must be long-sighted and cunning, strong. We must take this gift the worm our god has given us, this challenge, and find a way to keep existing. How will we feed our worms? Xivu Arath asks. I know, says cunning Savathun. I know a way. But it won't work unless we are killing the Ecumene by the billions. How can we beat them? If we cannot beat their strengths, says Xivu Arath, we must infect their weaknesses. But they are lords of matter and physical law. I know a way, King Aurex said, but it will require great power, more power than any one of us can claim. Then kill me, says Xivu Arath, and use that killing logic, the power you prove by killing something as mighty as me. So King Aurex took up his blade and beheaded Xivu Arath. And strangle me, says Savathun, holding a blade behind her back. Use that killing logic. The cunning you prove by killing something as smart as me. But King Aurex turned with the speed and might of Xivu Arath and beheaded Savathun before she could move. King Aurex was the first navigator with the map of death. These were true deaths, for they happened in the sword world. Then he went to the worm named Akka. And now we return to what are they called again? The Dakawa, briefly. Verse 3:7. Eat the sky. Emergency imperative. All militarized units attend. Gland 120 proof fight or flight encoding or face certain catastrophic defeat. The Ecumene Crisis Council is now online and true. Attention. As of Radial 990 Grove 0, the Hive has launched a staggering counterattack across the Spinwood frontier. Perimeter, militia, and shock fleets report total casualties. We anticipate total Ecumene disintegration extinction within 222 years. 220 years, sorry. The Hive entity Oryx Arash is deploying a paracausal ontopathogenic weapon that infects and subverts Ecumene forces. The weapon operates on individual targets. Targets are abducted and returned as compliant Hive slaves with inexplicable and physically illegal abilities. All Ecumene clients should immediately devote all economic and cognitive resources to a countermeasure. Fight hard. We stop the Hive. We see our galaxy devoured. Thank you for the love, Morgan. So here we had a bit of a glimpse of what it looks like when Oryx returned from seeing Akka with the power to take, which literally takes people, beings, and returns them as basically husks without will that serve him. Verse 3:8, King of Shapes. This is the coronation of Oryx, the taken king. It happened thus. In the cold abyss of the sword world, King Arash worked under a cloak of green fire. He walked through the sky, and the sky shuddered and froze beneath his feet. He walked until he found Akka, the worm of secrets, who was denying a truth until it became a lie. Akka, my god, worm of secrets, I am Aurex, sole king of the hive. I have come to receive a secret. I want the secret power of the deep, which you hold. I give no secrets, said Akka, whose voice was cold. No, said Aurex, you give nothing. Giving is for the sky. You worship the deep, which asks that we take what we need. Akka said nothing, because if it denied this truth, the truth might become false. But you gave us your larvae, the worm, said Aurex. And that is why the worm devours us now, because it was given, not taken. So I must take what I need from you, although you are my god. Said Akka, you have not the strength. But this was a lie. Aurex had killed Savathun, his sibling, and Zivu-Arath, his sibling, and he had the sole logic of killing them. Aurex, the first navigator, set upon his god with his sword and his words, and cut Akka to pieces, and took from these pieces the secret of calling upon the deep. He wrote his secrets on a set of tablets, which he called the Tablets of Ruin, and he wore them about his waist. Then Aurex said, now I may speak to the deep, the beautiful final shape. I will be king of shapes. I will learn all the secrets of our destiny. His speech to the deep is not recorded here, but it is known that he returned and he said, now I am Oryx, the Taken King, and I have the power to take life and make it my own. Then he went out into the universe and fought the Ecumene with his tablets, and the worm his god was pleased. Have a drink for a bit. Verse 39, carved in ruin. Oryx made war on the Ecumene for 100 years. Thank you for the potion shake, lamp, and the stretch. So, Oryx made war on the Ecumene for 100 years. At the end of those 100 years, he killed the Ecumene Council on the Fractal Reef, and from their blood rose Zivu-Arath, saying, I am war, and you have conjured me back with war. Oryx was glad, for he loved Zivu-Arath. The Ecumene wailed in grief. Then Oryx and Zivu-Arath made war on the Ecumene for 40 years. At the end of those 40 years, Oryx said to the Dakua nest, listen, I am jealous of my sibling Zivu-Arath. Help me kill her. And in desperation, they agreed. But he drove the Nakawa nest into a trap, and they were made extinct. From their ashes rose cunning Savathun, saying, I am trickery, and you have conjured me back with trickery. Oryx was glad, for he loved Savathun. The Ecumene fled into the void. Then they made war on the Ecumene for 1,000 years, and exterminated them so wholly that nowhere except in this book are they remembered. This book and the mind of Teox, who was not found. As Savathun said, King Oryx, how will we feed our worms? Did you use my plan? Oryx told the hive, I am the Taken King, and here is my law. You thrall, each of you will claw and scream and kill what you can. Take enough killing to feed your worm, and a little more to grow. Tithe the rest to the acolyte who commands you. You, acolytes, lead your thrall into battle. Take killing to feed your worm, and a little more to grow. And take the tithe of the thrall you lead. Then tithe the remainder to the knight or wizard who commands you. Thus you pay tribute. You, knights and wizards, lead your followers in battle. Take enough devastation to feed your worm, and a little more to grow. And take the tithe of your followers. Then take another portion, as much as you dare, and use it for your own purposes. But if it is too much, your peers will kill you and take it. Then tithe the remainder to the ascendant you serve. An ascendant will be those among the hive who gather enough tribute to enter the netherworld. They will pay a tithe to those above them. And thus the tribute will flow up the chain, so that Savathun and Zivorath and myself will be fed by a greater river of tribute, and we will use that excess to feed our gods and to study the deep. Thus all worms will be fed, as long as we continue our crusade. This is my law. I carve it thus, in ruin, I yet. Verse 4. A golden amputation. Wrath. Behold the wrath of Oryx, coiled for 10,000 years. Behold the golden amputation. The fall of Taishibeth, the end of an age. We beat the worlds of Taishibeth like skull drums, and we howl in joy for our black war moons as they ram silver orbitals and gleaming star webs, where infant Taishibethi sun ravens curl and die unborn. In his throne world Oryx paces 10 times.